All right, welcome to the shop. All right, so we're back again. So last time I finished up the stab. I still got to put it together with the two halves pretty much ready to go. Gonna make some ribs, but tonight I was gonna work on laying up a wing skin. The material I have here is this is Roacell, um, 59 thousandths. Extremely light. It's about 2 pound foam, and I'm gonna be molding it in this shark wing mold that I got from Andre. And Arestas. This is actually one of Arestas mold we got from Andre. So we're gonna lay one up tonight. So I'll kind of take you through it. I'm gonna move the camera angle to make it a little bit better. Um, but this stuff is it's pretty expensive. However, I mean it's really seems to be really good. Very lightweight, very promising. So we'll see how it turns out. There's a little bit of an experiment. See if the Roacell is actually the way to go. Like I said before, I invest more money into it. But I do think it's going to work out well. All right, so I'm gonna move the camera and we'll get going here. All right, so the camera's been moved. So we're gonna get going here. Just move the metal set it away. All right, so what I did was, I don't know if you can see it, but I laid out a mark. I put the foam in the mold. I laid out a mark to kind of get the outline I wanted. So then with a number 11 blade, I'm just gonna carefully cut it. And this stuff cuts real easy. It's very pliable. So what we got to do is we're gonna cut this out. So we're gonna cut one out. There. I'm just gonna see how it fits in here. Um, 'Cause the other thing is I want to see if I can actually roll the trailing edge up. If I can, that's great. If not, I'll just cut it off and put a piece of balsa in there. Oops. Wow. There's a lot of dust on this, so I guess I'll probably gonna vacuum it, I guess. Um, all right, so what I'm gonna also do is I'm gonna take some heat and put heat to this to kind of help it form around the edges. Um, Kind of push it down in spots. But definitely gonna have to. What I want to do is vacuum this wall, so just give me 1 second. I'm gonna get to the vacuum. Hmm. All right. I'm looking for my brush attachment here. All right. Let's just vacuum out that mold before we do anything with it some more, before we lay up the part. All right, so what I want to do is just lightly heat this. Um, the mold has already been treated, so I gotta be careful that I don't pick up the paint on it. So I'm gonna heat it a little bit outside. Okay. So it forms very well and easy. I just want to make sure I get a little bit of shape here. All right, I think for this one, I'm gonna cut the trailing edge. I just don't. I just don't want to. I think I can form it, but I don't want to crack it. Like, and I don't know how well it would get down in there. Just kind of feeling it up a little bit. My fear is that it would crack. What we're gonna do is we'll get it lined up in here, and what we'll do is mark it and cut the trailing edge off on it. So I'm doing is just marking it, and I'll cut that. It'll make the curve. I'm just worried about it cracking as I go put it in the mold. Um, so I'd rather not have that happen. So what I do is just I'll cut the straight trailing edge here, and I'll use a piece of balsa in it. So just line up my marks. Small piece cut off. Actually, if I wanted to, I could actually probably use that piece and just stick it down in there. So I may even do that. I may just take that piece of trailing edge and just stick it down in. All right. Yeah, so there we go. Okay, so that's pretty good. Um, so I'm still debating on what I do with that trailing edge, whether I use that piece of foam or not. All right, not bad. So that'll go in nicely. All right. Now, what I do want to do is I want to see how much this weighs. All right, so out of curiosity, what does this skin actually? 0.35. So I just want to get a picture of this so I save it for my records in case I don't remember. That's pretty good. I mean, the best wing skin I've been able to get down is the 0.7 in Bolsa. So 0.3 or 10 grams. So we'll see. I mean, it's pretty light. We got to see how it finishes up, with the resin and everything else. I mean, I gotta imagine I can get away with more resin on it, which actually is pretty good. Okay, so that's good. All right, so I think I'm gonna use a piece of balsa back here just to play it safe. The other thing is I want to check the fit on the other. All right, so far so good. So I do gotta duplicate this because I need two. All right. And now this piece that I've left over, I'm gonna use. This will be for a set of flaps. They'll easily get in there. So pretty good. Let me just stow it. I'm gonna get a piece of 16th probably. Huh. All right, so I still gotta cut that. I gotta cut some. I gotta cut fiberglass. I gotta cut a piece of balsa. Hmm. So I gotta. I'm gonna order a piece of 3/32 because I have a piece. All right, so now let's just measure the depth. And actually, what I'll do. So I'll strip off a piece here. This is some 5.5 pound balsa. So I stripped off a piece. Hmm. All right, so now we're going to cut it down the sides here. Okay, not bad. Okay. All right. So there is my trailing edge. You just see something. It's not really a straight line. Alright, that one's good. This one I think is okay. Okay, that shall work. Mm. All right, now we have to cut the fiberglass. Before I do that, I want to clean the bench. Uh, Anything that's stuck on here, if there's any glue or any rough spots, or um, what we'll do is it'll screw up the fiberglass. This is half ounce cloth, so it's pretty flimsy to begin with. Like there's tape stuck on the bench. All right. All right, so we lay it out. Alright, definitely get plenty of sheets this way. It's probably the best way to do it. Let me just. I want to say it's 39 inches wide. 38. Yeah, so we're gonna have to cut it. Which is okay. I just have a little bit more waste than I'd like. Let me find my good scissors here. Let's take your time cutting it because you're gonna pull the glass. All right, so what I'm gonna do. So what we're trying to do is save a couple inches off the end and not have so much waste. Can probably save a good 4 inches, enough to do at least a flap or two. Otherwise, that's material. Just you're you're just kind of wasting it. Just kind of really small pieces then. So if I can, what I can do. Hold on, let me just. Hmm. This is me just trying to conserve a little bit of material, but it looks like I can save a few inches of material, which is good. Like I said, at least I can make a flap or I can make an elevator out of it. With otherwise, it would be just wasted too. All right, so that's one. There's one. Really sharp scissors are a must here. Otherwise, you tear the fabric and you get runs in it. And even cutting it, you gotta just take your chance. If you have a wheel, a fabric wheel that works well on a mat, I just don't have a mat big enough. Keep saying I gotta get one, and I don't. And we got a couple more here. All right. See, the good news is, see, we're able to save this material probably about 50 inches long, at least enough for a flap or elevators. Otherwise, this material would have just probably went in the garbage. So put it to the side. Uh, I had gotten 200 yards of it. I got a deal, um, and the guy no longer gets it. So hopefully the supply will last some time for me. I got a very good deal for it. I would have bought more if I would have known, but I didn't. So, all right. All right. So the other thing we're gonna do is we gotta cut the breather cloth, and I'm gonna use a different type of breather cloth here. This is breather cloth and peel ply in one. So it comes on a roll. You get this stuff from Fiberglass. This stuff is pretty good. I was very impressed on how it worked. So I'm gonna cut a piece off. Uh, and I just ordered some more of it. It's called. Hold on, something came in. It's from Fiberglass. It's CompuFlex SB 250 1794. It's peel ply, release film, and breather all in one. This stuff works pretty good. As much, I think it's better than peel ply and breather cloth. I think it comes up easier. I'm sure Dan Winship will comment on it for me, and tell me. But I think what I do think is we can get bolts in there. All right, so I think we can get them both in. Ooh, look at that, but that's okay. All right, we'll use this piece. It'll work. Because all I'll do is I'll stick a little piece down at the bottom. But this is what the material is. If you look, one side is like a nylon peel ply. The other side is actual breather cloth. Stuff's about 17, $18 a yard. Comes in a 59-inch reel. I think it's worth it. It's a little bit more money, but I think it's definitely worth it. You get a cleaner release on it. Okay. All right. So the molds have already been prepped. They're coated with some release film. I'm trying a little bit different release film, some stuff from Fiberglass. We'll see how it works. It's painted with white lacquer. Um, I got Valspar, whatever. You just want to put some paint in there because it helps with the release. It's not a critical step. All right, so these are ready and placed to the side. I do want to vacuum out the other one. Alright. Alright, so now you've kind of seen this before, where we just lay the fiberglass in. So what I'm gonna do is cut off some of the excess because I don't need it flapping around in the mold. Alright, so that's good. I got again. I always save these extras. I put them in a pile. You never know when you need a small piece to stick in somewhere. All right, and now I think we're ready to lay up the first one. Uh, oh. All right, so it's like a crack. Split one of the vacuuming and I pulled it up a little too hard. So I'm going to show you how I fix this. So all I do is use some Scotch tape to hold it in place. You know, when the resin goes in, it'll be just fine. Doo doo doo. All right. The only other thing I do is actually scuff up the Scotch tape. Otherwise, the resin will stick to it. All right, so now we're ready. And what we're gonna do is we're gonna put the resin in. I'm gonna mix up what I 2 pumps of resin. All right, so I'm gonna get some rubber gloves. I'm gonna mix up 2 pumps of resin. Well, the challenge is where to put the rubber gloves. All right, so I use these 3 ounce cups. They're regular like Dixie cups. You get them from anywhere. They work very good. 3 ounces is a good size. Again, I got a bunch of chip brushes from Harbor Freight. And again, just take some CA, some thin CA, and just it's a great trick. Keeps all the hair in the brush, especially with these cheap brushes. Don't laugh. I even do this when I'm painting my house sometimes. I want to use a disposable brush. I'll get one of these 2 inch brushes and I'll put CA on it so the hairs don't come out. And it works pretty good. And then I don't worry about cleaning up the brush. I just throw it out one time. All right, let's see. I'll let that dry a second. And I can find the gloves. Oh, there you go. I got my squeegee over here too. All right, so I'm using West Resins. It's not all I use. Had great luck with this other stuff that's probably better. I'm using the 105 resin, and I like the 205 fast hardener. I think it hardens better for these applications, although you have less working time. But as you can see, it doesn't take that long to do one of these. All right, so 2 pumps, 2 pumps, and you're gonna mix it really good. If you can warm your resin up, it helps too, because then it runs out. But for this layup, I'm gonna actually be very generous with the resin because I got a great feeling that it's gonna pull right through the foam and into the other cloth. I think it's gonna be a really good layup. We'll see. Only one way we'll tell is after we pull it. But I mean, the start off weight is absolutely pretty phenomenal. I mean, 0.35, 10 grams a sheet. I mean, it's pretty good. I mean, we're starting off light. Probably got a good shot of a very light panel. Maybe an ounce, ounce and a half, ounce and a quarter. There's something. Nothing. Okay. All right. So what I do is I just pour the resin in. What you carefully do is start moving the resin without pulling the glass. Got to pull in both directions. And I may even need more resin. I started out with 2 pumps. It may be 3. Um, so just work it in carefully. Really work the resin in. Yeah, I'm likely going to need more resin. It's okay. Alright, so I'm gonna have to work the corners with a paintbrush. So you want to make sure there's no dry spots. So just work it. So I really want to make sure you get a bunch in this corner. I got a little wrinkle in it, so I'll pull a wrinkle out. So what we do is, oops, take the paintbrush. So this, and the edge I'm not really terribly worried about because this is going to be a take apart in the last probably inch or so of this side will get cut off, or half inch. I think about 3/4 of an inch probably. Um, so this is not the end of the earth, this corner. I just don't want it to. All right, so what I'm gonna do is gonna put some heat on this now just to really make sure I pull the resin through the cloth and get it in everywhere. So right up on the leading edges where you could have debonds, or debonds, this the trailing edge is another place you really got to make sure you get it in good. I mean, the good news is there'll be a piece of balsa here at the trailing edge, which will really tighten it up. All right, so I take my heat gun and just turn on low heat and just warm up the resin. Okay. So the minute you put heat to it, the epoxy starts to run. I'm just really making sure I got lots of resin up on the edges, almost excess resin. Again, making sure there's no dry spots. Like there looks a little dry. Again, the hope is most of this will pull right through the foam. Okay. All right, so I'm pretty happy with that now. So I'm doing just pressing it down. Well, I'll use a little bit of heat. And what I'm doing is just really pushing this cone down. Really want to make it stick good. Okay. All right, now second layer of glass will go on. Let's make sure I get it the right way here. Trying to keep my hands from being sticky here. Just working the cloth to make sure it'll get around the edges here. And because I got so much resin on a trailing edge, it really just helped me put this in place. Look out. All right, that's a good start. All right, so now put some gloves on again. And what I'm going to do, I'm going to use 3 pumps now. I won't use all of it, obviously, but you really want to saturate the resin on this side. One, two, three. So three and three, and the cup ends up being very full now. So I've shown this a couple of times on a couple different pieces. I just wanted to show this one because using a little bit different material, a little bit, probably a little bit different method. Um, so I use a lot of resin here, more resin than I would typically use. I'm just using a ton of resin to get the glass down. A lot more than usual. Like I'm not too worried about it because with the peel ply breather cloth, it's going to get picked up. And the one thing you really want to do, especially on the interior one, is you really want to make sure that it soaks through. And you gotta be gentle with the glass here. And sure. All right, so pull that in there. Just want to be careful not to pull the glass. And I will certainly put some heat on this to get it moving. Because you can see it's soaking right in nicely, which is good. All right, so I need some heat. Again, just using heat to get the epoxy moving. And you can see what happens to it. A little bit of heat on it. You see how much I pick up. Now I got almost a glass all saturated really well. Just making sure I got everything covered as really well. Okay, so now what I'll do is take some paper towels just to soak up any excess. Okay, now I'm pretty happy with that now. Okay, so now what I gotta do is we gotta stick the trailing edge in. And what you want to do is just make sure your trailing edge is tucked in tight. I put extra resin down in there. Okay, now it's time for the breather cloth. Again, the shiny side down. right, now time for the bag. Um, all right, so now we're gonna load our piece in. I'm gonna chase the bag all over the table. Zero now. This will likely probably be the last pull on the bag. This bag's been pulled a few times. Hopefully it will work. But the more you stress these things, they don't last forever. And just really making sure you get no wrinkles in this when you put this on. Okay. All right, now to connect the vacuum pump. All right. All right, so the vacuum pump is now running. What you want to do is you want to. I always like to kind of force the bag, give the bag a little bit of, but wanted to make sure it sucked down the trailing edge without pulling off. Get down into all the crevices. All right, so take a squeegee here. what I'm doing now is really just making sure this is pushed in and getting and so what I'm doing is just working because these are the spots where you get delamination and they drive you crazy. So just really pushing them in. Same thing on the trailing edge. All these edges. And you can see the resin already coming through. So it's holding vacuum, which is pretty good. I have it at about 18 inches of vacuum. And you gotta be careful you don't rip the bag doing this. I'm just trying to make sure the trailing edge is pushed in tight and not on an angle. So that's how you do it. So that's one done. I've got to do three more of these. I only have it one side. I only have one wing mold, so I got to do them two at a time. So this will likely be the outboard. Usually the first ones are the heavier ones. You get your technique down and stuff. But I'm pretty happy with this overall. Looks pretty good. Like I said, I'm gonna lay up the next one. I'll do that one off camera. Not really anything super exciting. Um, like I said, I'm just really making sure, pushing, really forcing the foam and the resin to be stuck together. Okay. So far, so good. All right. Yeah. So this is the third video of the high voltage shark build. Um, Laid up the first wing skin with the Rowacell. Weighed 0.35. We'll see what it comes out as. Um, Pretty optimistic though. It should be pretty good. So we'll see. Anything under like 2 ounces, or be really good. So we'll see how it works out. But pretty happy with that so far. So uh, I had got some questions about what kind of vacuum pump. This is from ACP Composites. I don't know if they make them anymore. But here's the expansion tank, or your tank. You got a gauge. Here's my vacuum hose, pressure switch. Here's the vacuum pump. Here's the motor. Here's the pump, with a little filter in it. Um, and this is a pretty good one. It's only gone down a little bit. It'll probably pump up every hour, every 45 minutes. It'll get a until it gets back to 18. So it's a pretty good bag hold so far. If you take a look, I'll come up close here. You can actually see all the resin starting to come through the breather cloth. And like I said, you'll see how this cloth, this is peel ply and breather all together. You'll see how this comes off. It'll come off pretty nicely. Leave a really good surface. But yep, so you can see that's all excess resin. I put a lot of extra resin up in the leading edge. And again, I'm just continuing to really push that in and force it in. The trailing edge, you won't get as much resin out. Sorry. So you see the trailing edges in. So, all right. So hopefully you guys enjoyed watching the video. If you like it, click the like button, subscribe, tell your friends. If you have any comments or any questions or any feedback to the camera angles, anything you will see differently, let me know. I'll do my best. All right. So thanks for watching, everyone. See ya.